Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game So today we're going to doing a series on the MiSTer FPGA DE10 Nano project, more specifically in this instance last night's release of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time arcade core, because we've had the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on MiSTer for a while now, and now we have the sequel Turtles in Time, and I know that's going to excite a lot of people. It is one of Konami's best games of all time after all. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But honestly, it's great to see another Konami arcade core come to MiSTer FPGA, because you know I am a huge Konami fan. I have a lot of their arcade boards, and I've got this stashed away in my closet of doom somewhere. So if I ever feel like taking it out and doing some original hardware comparisons, I can do that. And this game is just absolutely iconic, and you're going to have it here on MiSTer FPGA and basically all of its variants. The 4-player ROM, where your character is going to be controlled by which controller input you're using, and then the 2-player ROMs, you're going to be able to pick your individual turtle. And a lot of people saw this as a 4-player cabinet back in the day, but there were 2-player cabinet releases as well. That's why you have a situation with a lot of Konami arcade games where the 4-player and 2-player are different ROMs. But honestly, it's great to have another arcade core on the MiSTer FPGA side of things, especially a game as good as Turtles in Time. And a few months ago, I did a Port Authority episode comparing the Super Nintendo version of the game to the arcade original you're seeing here, and the majority of people said that the Super Nintendo version was their preferred way to play. But leave me a comment down below and you tell me, Super Nintendo or arcade. We can relitigate that entire discussion in the comments, because it is interesting to hear why people like a certain version of the game and why they like a different version if they prefer the arcade one. Honestly, for me, the arcade version is where my nostalgia lies, because it's the first version of the game I played, but if I am being objective, I would probably say that the Super Nintendo version of the game is the de facto better version as well. But it's one of those things, having two versions of an incredible game is only going to make you, the player, end up winning in the end. Just so you know, this is developed by CoinOp Collection, a maker I haven't really featured on the channel recently for some reasons. They were off making Mars, but now they're back making MiSTer FPGA core, so I figured it was talk about the art and separate it from the artist's moment. And some of the foundational work was done by Furtek by decapping some of the chips on the board. And if you're not familiar what decapping or delidding is, it's basically removing the substrate from the PCB, that top plastic part, and then getting down to the actual silicon where all of the logic's laid out, and then getting high resolution scans of that chip so you can reverse engineer everything it is doing. It's not possible to do it for every single chip, because some of the more modern chips will be in layers or otherwise have some complexities that aren't 100% able to be decapped yet. But the late 80s, early 90s stuff, for the most part, can be decapped, and that's what you see in something like the Neo Geo core. It is foundationally remade from decapped chips. I have a bunch of 3DO M2 chips sitting next to me that I've harvested from boards that are working. That way I can try to get them decapped in the future, but I just haven't found anyone or a company that can actually do it yet. But it is foundationally important to the development of some arcade cores, because being able to actually get a look under the hood, as it were, of the silicon, especially the Konami customs on a board like this, definitely helps. And I would say, as far as the performance is concerned, this is not a complete core, but honestly, outside of a few minor graphical glitches and every once in a while a hanging note in the music, you would be hard pressed to not think that this was just a final release. And if you do want to play it, just run update all. I checked and it is there as of last night and this morning, so all of the files should come down for you to be able to play, which is nice as well. It's not a beta program, there are no keys involved. You just jump in, run update all, and it should appear in your arcade folders, whether they're organized or not, as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time. And considering basically the entire world's going to be on a holiday weekend this weekend, it'll be fun to get some friends around the television and load up 3 more controllers and get a 4-player game of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in. Maybe even throw the Easter Bunny on a controller. I hear he's pretty good at beat-em-ups. But all rabbit-related jokes aside, I do love this game, and I am impressed with the performance of the initial release. And you see here with the pizza dough monster, not sure his name, but always made me think of just pizza dough. Everything is working, all of the controls are enabled, everything just basically is able to be played and enjoyed and had fun with, including the soundtrack, which has always been iconic. Konami made great music, so listen, and I'll be right back. Sounds like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to me, but maybe the music is a little bit high as far as levels are concerned, because it was getting very close and resolved to actually clipping out one of the channels. And it is one of those things, I feel like maybe 7 out of 10 new MiSTer cores ship with audio that is a little bit too high by default unless you actually go in and adjust the volume, but I did capture it at default levels. Now as far as the graphics are concerned, there's going to be a glitch here and there every once in a while. Once you actually defeat the second enemy right here, he's going to turn into a puppy sprite, and for a very brief moment you're going to see he has an extra paw, basically 3 Mile Island dog right there. But that's the level of issues that we're finding with the core, so honestly if I didn't point it out you would probably never notice it in the first place. The only glaring issue as far as a glitch is concerned is in the end credits with a blue line and then a note on the credit end music that basically hangs in place for 50 seconds as one tone, but they are very minimal issues. And this is just honestly, again, such a fun game. Bury My Shell at Wounded Knee is such a fun level as well. This entire train sequence, Konami love trains in pretty much all of their beat 'em ups. They feature them in so many different games. Now of course, because this game is now running, that means some of the foundational work for other games on the same PCB is going to be in place for MiSTer FPGA as well, but I want you to understand something about arcade hardware compared to home console hardware. A PlayStation 1, a Sega Saturn, a Nintendo 64, a Super Nintendo is the exact same hardware for the entirety of its run. Maybe they change a component, but everything is cross-compatible. Now on this Konami arcade board, as well as most arcade boards, you may have the same nuclear family. They may call the board a certain name, but they will change hardware between to have special functions between one game and the other. So just because one game on an arcade platform is running does not mean that it is a free win to have every single other game on that platform run as well that quickly. So it is one of those things. Every arcade board can and will have some custom hardware for that specific game, so it does require more work, and I'm not sure if Vertex decapping more chips, if they have been found. It's one of those things, it just takes more time, and I want you guys to have a good understanding of how it works, because a lot of people think arcade boards are no different than home consoles except where they jam an edge, but they do change up hardware. You think of it this way: if you put a 32X into your Sega Genesis, it's a 32X. On a Konami board like this, maybe the next game that Konami released had a new custom on it that's going to give it new graphical capabilities that you do need to code into FPGA to get that specific game running. So it does take a little bit of time, but it will be fun to see what other games come out of this development. Because obviously we have Hotego's cores running on very similar hardware for stuff like Sunset Riders, but as Krang comes in here again, just such an absolutely iconic boss fight. I've loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When I grew up, I had Turtle sheets, I had the Turtles birthday party, I had Turtles backpacks, I basically had everything like every other kid back in the early to mid 90s did. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were basically a lifestyle for like 18 months, and I absolutely love this game as well. And it's time for your second soundtrack sample, so go ahead and listen, see if you hear anything that doesn't sound correct, and I'll be back to show you the ending of the game and just how well it does. But enjoy. Definitely sounds good to me. Outside of that first sound effect, when you actually warp into the area, that did clip out both audio channels. So when something clips, it means it's just not really recoverable. I can lower the audio volumes down in Resolve just to basically keep your ears safe and keep my ears safe in my headphones, but it means that that data for the audio really can't be massaged to get anything out of it. It is just missing. It's kind of like over underexposing on a camera. If you just fall off in either direction, that means the data is no longer there. It's either too dark or too light, and you really can't adjust it. So it is one of those things. Minor adjustments definitely needed to the core on the sound front, but I would say that maybe 9 out of 10 cores that aren't finished have the exact same problem. So it really isn't a critique of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, more just an observation of how hard it can be to get the proper audio levels and balancing correct. And I will say this area here, 100% a place where you can get stunlocked and killed. Has nothing to do with the core whatsoever, just Konami getting a couple extra quarters off you, because this game is definitely going to kick your ass every way, shape, and form it can possibly think of, because it definitely wants those quarters. I would say Krang Part 2 is the real final boss of this game, because Splinter almost feels like a free fight. You can stunlock him in the corner and basically just get a bunch of time back and just kind of keep yourself safe. but it is fun to see cores like this coming over to MiSTer FPGA. It's always fun to get a new game, and honestly, if you want to buy a PCB for this, it's definitely not something that they're giving away, so it is nice to have that FPGA core. Now obviously this game has worked in MAME for the longest time, but honestly it's fun to have an alternate version of it, especially on MiSTer. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be stoked by it. But you tell me down below, what is your favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, whether it's a beat 'em up or otherwise, because I would say I've always enjoyed this franchise. Turtles in Time is one of my favorites, and I don't really think there is a bad beat 'em up, whether it's Hyperstone Heist, whether it's the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, whether it's the most modern beat 'em up in the new style of artwork on a modern platform. They just always hit, and it's not like there aren't a bunch of bad Turtles games out there either. There definitely are, but it's one of those things. I love this game, I always enjoy playing it, and I love the fact that it ends in 1991. You go to the future, then you go to the present, and obviously 1991 was just a few years ago, which makes me feel definitely old. Just how many years have gone by since 1991 was present day. And like I said just a moment ago, Shredder is basically a free fight, a little bit of a disappointing way to end the game, because compared to Krang, he really just isn't that exciting to fight. But it's awesome to get a new MiSTer FPGA core, especially one for such an iconic game. In the future, maybe I'll cover more of CoinOp Collection's releases, depending on how I feel about it. It's one of those things. I ignored them because honestly I didn't really enjoy all the drama behind the scenes. But we're all adults here, we can just basically talk about somebody's work and leave the rest of it on the cutting room floor. Especially when it's as fun as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But short of that, definitely check this one out. Like I said, just run update alt and it should come down and you'll be totally fine to play it. And just so you know, if you want to play the 2-player version of the game, you'll want to go into the alternates folder and then pick them up from there, because the default is going to be the 4-player ROM where each turtle is assigned to its individual control scheme. But you can beat the game. It is a ton of fun. It'll be fun to play over the holiday weekend. And I'm done. Hope you enjoy Easter if you celebrate, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.